Magnificent to have you company this Thursday afternoon. It is a warm day down here at Kidinia Park, GMHBA Stadium, just to keep the sponsors happy. No, it's worse than balmy. It's warmer than balmy, I reckon. It's gone past balmy.
What's after balmy?
Warm. It's warm. It's verging on hot.
More than warm.
It'd be boiling hot if you're playing
Balmy's
footy.
ahead of warm.
No, balmy. Oh, yeah, maybe. It's beyond balmy anyway.
Right.
Rob McCartney doesn't need to waste his time listening to this sort of stuff. The
I don't know.
Hawthorn footy manager who's got 28 now. We thought there were 29 taking part in the first 4 periods today before the next 4, but thanks for coming up and having a chat. We just found out that one of the frontliners won't be playing here. Well, another one of the frontliners won't be playing here this afternoon.
Yeah, young Chankwath Joth will not play today. He pulled up a little bit sore from our main training session in the calf, so not a strain or anything like that, but it's just not at this time of the year worth taking the risk. He's a player who's had a great pre-season.
Yeah.
He's in ripping nick. He's ready to play some good footy, but we found out last year we raced him to the line for round 1. He had a great first 5 rounds.
Yep.
Then tapered a little bit and then was injured at the end of the year. We want to make sure that this kid gets every chance to be what we think he can be, and that's a player who at some stage wins an All-Australian.
And have you got the balance right? Because I guess it's one of those ones you really only know in hindsight how your preparation has been. But with such a young group, I'd imagine that there'd be a higher than normal volume of work you need to get in, and because of the age profile and the experience profile of your team, would that be fair to say?
Yeah, well, I reckon they're doing a bit more than you, Gazey. So
that's a bit
it's a very accurate.
Just looking at you.
No, it's a very accurate. It's a very accurate observation.
I know you're looking pretty tidy, but I'm happy to go down and give me 30. I'm not sure you. We need the Micah unit on standby. If you had to go down and give us 30.
I know who I'm backing.
Yeah, so look, we have been really lucky. Peter Burge has come into the footy club, and his knowledge of preparing a group to play the brand that Sam wants to play is really, really strong, because it's not dissimilar to the Richmond brand when they were saluting at the end of the season in September. So we want to be a really hard running side, one that then gets to the contest and competes with vigour. And he's preparing them in that manner, but he's not preparing them for the first time, because he's done that at Richmond over a decade and produced players and athletes who can do that. So, yeah, we're seeing some really good signs. We've got numbers obviously now where we can see what they do in training, and those volumes are up. Speed's really strong in our training program, and yeah, they're ready to get a bit of a sniff at the best side in the comp of last year. So weren't we lucky to get that one, hey?
How much vigour? How much vigour? Because we're all hearing it. And it's easy to draw a line from the 2 scuffles you've had at training that have been spoken about. But there are people at other clubs who have watched your training who are saying that, geez, they're going at a pretty high intensity, and there's a lot of aggression about the way Hawthorn's going about it in the lead-up.
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of things with that. We're a young group, youngest, I think, in the competition.
Yep.
Yes. And
they're capable of obviously producing things that an older group can't. I can remember coming into Hawthorn, at the end of 14 into 15, and seeing how they trained them. At different times, they'd lift the bar and they would compete with a similar vigour, but they didn't need to because of their age. They'd actually shown that and proven that, and they were really comfortable that when they needed to show it on game day, they would. Well, this group, they're learning it.
Yeah.
So just like you learn a lot of things in the game, and that could be just the technique of kicking the ball well or delivering it by hand. You've got to learn the technique of getting a little bit physical at different times before you actually have to do it against a hostile opposition.
Absolutely, and Hawks fans are keen, as is Jason, to see Cam McKenzie. Now, we spoke beforehand, but he's not suiting up today. What's the issue there?
Yeah, Cam played in our intra-club match and did really well. First possession from stoppages was a highlight of his game last Thursday. But sadly for him, he copped a corky in the first 10 minutes of the game. What we do like is his ability to play that game out, but it just bled a little bit, and as we know, that goes down a little bit lower in the leg and you come a little bit stiff. So, look, he'll play. We'll give him some minutes, definitely, when we go over to Launceston next week and play the Pies. So he'll get a chance to push his claims for round 1 in that game.
The mob you're playing here today, and we understand what it is. It's very much an early season trial game. But when you looked at when you looked at what they did last year from a list and an age profile, did it raise your eyebrows?
Look, it is against the trend because obviously we tried to do that probably after 15, tried to hold on do it with a group that did age together. But look, I think can't underestimate too. Well, they had that age group of players who obviously were 30 plus. They still had a group of young players who were coming through as well. And what we didn't have the top end anymore that we needed to be able to really compete and go deeper in finals with our older players. So we just had to start again. And we're really happy with the progress of the group last year. You know, we found a number of players in Newcombe and Moore really did develop as a player. Lewis really had a breakout season. You know, Chenkwath was a player that we saw enough that we think if we could make it to grand final day, he'd be a pretty good player. We have to find the same again this year.
Sam Mitchell actually was very bold in coming out and believes that we've got the nucleus.
Got you excited.
Got the nucleus.
I heard you talking about this yesterday.
For a premiership, for a premiership team. Now we spitballing it, came up with 12. We thought that a nucleus would be represented by 12 players. What would you put down as the required number to justify the nucleus of a premiership team? How many?
Well, I'd say, you know, you're an astute judge. I reckon it'd be around 12.
There you go. Fist bump in the studio. There you go.
Well, I was just plucking numbers out.
I think that's exactly the approach that we've looked at, though. Like, you know, we go back even a couple of years and we start this strategy to build the next premiership for this footy club. And I keep saying when I get the chance to speak that our football club isn't a club that's just happy to make finals, maybe just compete in one and fall out, maybe win one and then go backwards the next year. We're a club that...
Dynasties.
You know, since the 60s...
That's what we do.
Since the 60s...
Dynasties. We don't muck around with the ones and twos.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
I don't reckon I need to pump it up.
No, you don't.
In the studio, Gazey.
You don't.
But yeah, look, we are trying to build that next bit of success for the football club. And Sam would be saying, okay, you know, when he started, he probably could see 4 or 5 that he felt were part of that group, and he probably feels that he found 6 or 7 more last year, and he needs to find another 4 or 5 in 23, and then the next 4 or 5, and then, you know, we've been pretty strategic about our spend through TPP. We'll have a chance in a few years' time to target players when our time comes and we get a bit closer. And just as, you know, Richmond did with Lynch and Geelong did with Cameron and others, be in the position to make those decisions when you're close enough to really go deep into September.
So don't let me rain on your parade. I don't think you're going to win the flag in 2023. So I'm not going to shut the door on it. But so given all the stuff that you've said and what Sam's spoken about, does that mean you'll be particularly conservative with Mitch Lewis this year?
Yeah, look, we're not conservative.
Careful.
We look after all our players in the sense that we make sure that they're rehab. And I think this is one thing that, you know, while our position on the ladder mightn't have been as glowing last year in terms of, you know, 14th or whatever it was, our medical team, I reckon, in the top 4.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And over a long journey, they've been able to really acknowledge the injury of the player, the stage of the player's career, and put in a program that allow them to come back and then, you know, really go about their craft as quick as they can.
Oh, okay.
Good luck today. I know you two could talk for a long time. Okay, so that's a gift. I know you have. Personally, you bounce back too after the little drive by on the way through. Thanks for coming up.